Okay. Welcome everyone. We'll make a start. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd just like to acknowledge that we're meeting in Nepaluna, face-to-face here in Hobart and online in Lutruwita, Tasmania. We are standing on Aboriginal land, sea and waterways. This is the land of the Muwinina people, and due to the effects of colonisation, there is no surviving members of the Muwinina people. But the broader Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples continue to care for country. I just want to reflect on what care for country actually means. I was very privileged to have a conversation this week with our Deputy Vice-Chancellor academic, Ian Anderson, who is a proud Palawa man who from the northwest of Lutruwita in Devonport, born in Devonport. And we were just reflecting on, as you do, in a conversation, the weather. And he said, and he shared with me something that I didn't realise, but probably already knew, that he said it's first spring. And what he meant by first spring is that the Indigenous community here have recognised 6 seasons. And so we know it's first spring when we see the first blossoms of the wattle tree. We've all seen that. And this particular season runs for around about 6 weeks before we go into second spring, around about October, where the weather becomes a little bit more inclement. And we all know what that means. Living in Hobart, it snows, it's sunny, you need an umbrella and your wind jacket and sunscreen all in one day. Second spring in October. And they also have first summer and second summer. But we've just left a period that is called the dark. So when you go outside today and you see the blossoms and you look to the mountain and you look to the waterways, just reflect on what it means to actually care for country and being on country. And with that, I actually say it's a great privilege to actually be on country and meet on country today. I also pay my respects to any members of the Tasmanian Aboriginal community that's here with us today in person or online, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Thank you. It's my great pleasure to introduce Fran Reeve today. Fran's going to talk about her very exciting residency at the Rosamund McCulloch Studio. And before I hand over to Fran to talk about that, I also want to acknowledge Fran is the first recipient of a very privileged scholarship that we have here within the School of Creative Arts and Media, the Mary Maxwell Scholarship. This is an endowment that was given to the school for a current student, either in honours or in postgraduate studies across any creative discipline, to actually go to the Cité studio. It's $10,000 and that goes towards travel, insurance, luggage, stipend for a 2-month period. The school is also very fortunate to have a studio in the Cité Internationale in Paris. If anyone knows about that program, the Cité, as it's affectionately known, is in the centre of Paris. It is a residency complex of roughly around 300 studios, and they're owned or administrated by countries from around the world. So it's a truly international place. They have a range of different facilities there, including dance studios, music studios, recording studios, art studios, a program of administrators that help make connections to the residents, as well as engage in kind of exhibitions and network amongst all of those international studios. The school's owned a studio in the Cité since 1991, which means we have sent over 150 graduates of the University of Tasmania to Paris to actually expand their career horizons, which is incredibly exciting. And for many, and I'm sure Fran will talk about this, it is actually career-changing and life-changing. So this is the context that Fran's actually going to talk to you about. She's going to share her time at the Cité in the studio and show you some amazing pictures around that. So Fran graduated from the school here with honours in 2022, and that's when she was awarded the scholarship. And her project then was around soft sculpture and needling and felting. But since that time and going to the Cité, she's expanded into engaging in performance and puppetry and puppet making, and has had and worked now with Terrapin, who is a very proud Tasmanian performance company specialising in large-scale puppets, and is also engaged with Rook, who is a contemporary Tasmanian circus company. So you can see her pathway from, a fine arts degree here within Hunter Street has expanded exponentially and really grown. So Fran's going to share that journey in the last couple of years, particularly focusing on the Cité. Please welcome Fran.
Thank you. Hi guys. Oh my gosh, thanks for coming and listening to me talk about Paris. Very exciting. So if you don't know me, my name's Fran. Yes, all the things that Meg said, thank you very much. And so my practice is multidisciplinary. I am very excited by faces and characters and also spirals. They often find their way into my work. So I really have started experimenting with creating characters in lots of different forms. So through this residency, I wanted to explore puppetry more. I wanted to see different forms. I wanted to go and see, lots of new different ways of exploring characterisation. So I'm going to show you some pictures and talk a bit about it. So I got some feedback as to why my application was successful. So I was told that because of the fact that I was really specific in my proposed project, as in that it was really specific in that I wanted to explore puppetry, I wanted to explore limb mechanics, and had some frameworks as to how I was going to do that, and also that there was a festival that I wanted to attend that was in the time that I was going to be there. So that was timely and it was relevant to my practice. So if you're going to be doing an application to go to the Cité, I would suggest sort of having a look at how your project could potentially be achieved with minimal facilities and supplies. While the Cité does have facilities and supplies, it's very helpful for your application, I believe, just from the feedback I got from other applicants that were there already, that if you can be self-reliant in your studio and maybe have a bit of a research project, research-based project, that can be quite appealing, as whilst there are facilities, they are sort of limited in a way. I know that for example, the kiln is quite small in this kind of thing. They're all very amazing facilities that they have them available, but in your application, it can be helpful to be self-reliant. If you can write as to why it would be beneficial for your practice to be in Paris specifically at that time, like why is it that your project would really benefit from being there specifically, and how can the opportunity benefit the Tasmanian arts community when you return? So how will this opportunity give back to your community, go beyond you in a way? So I remember when I was seeing my lecturers back in when I was doing my undergrad, when they did their talk on their time, I just really wanted to see pictures of the Cité in like I don't know, sort of details of different parts a little bit more. So I really liked this chair and I went there quite a bit and I sat there quite a lot. This is just outside of the courtyard, out the front of the entrance to the building where our studio is. So I just wanted to share with you a little special spot of mine. And this is the facade, the front of the building that I would go in every day. You go up the stairs up to the studio. This is a view from one of my Friends Studios, and that's me. I just wanted to put that in there because I was feeling myself. So this is the studio. This is the studio. These are the windows. I heard that the bed wasn't too comfortable, but I actually found it very comfortable, so I don't know what we're talking about. Thanks very much. So I did face some challenges. This was the first time I left Tasmania by myself. So as I'm sure you can imagine, there's going to be a bit of a steep learning curve. I did want to kind of touch on them because of the fact that it was a very real part of my experience. There was international flights, language barriers, finding a SIM card, getting lost. I got lost for 7 hours one time. That was pretty wild. I was very scared of talking to people quite a lot, so I was quite anxious. I did get harassed on the street quite a bit. The city life with the crowd smells and sounds was quite challenging to overcome, but you get used to it over the time. The metro I had never experienced in my life, and this was a very loud thing for me to get used to. Making big choices independently, and my card got cancelled while I was there. I have general anxiety, and very much I was lonely. And I stepped on poop one time at the graveyard, so that was also quite challenging. That's it up in the corner, that's where it was, and yep. That one was kind of on me. I wasn't watching where I was going. It was a big graveyard. Anyway, it was all possible because I was able to make friends at the Cité and beyond. It was entirely because I could ask for help that I was able to get through. I spent about 2 weeks feeling really isolated and scared. The transition was really hard for me. I found it really hard to leave the studio at all to start with. It was like the safe space that I'd found, and I was like, okay, we got to find some food. But then after that, I'm not doing anything. And then I made this friend down the corner, Marline, made a lot of what I did possible. Marline's from Switzerland. Marline is quite the character, and we had a very good time walking around the streets of Paris together, taking photos of cats and birds and foliage. It was, a big part of my time at the Cité was making these connections, and Marline had a group of other Swiss friends that I sort of joined in their group, and we would often go climbing together and, lots of wandering around Paris and going to like art parties and things. It was that was really amazing part. I also made friends with local circus artists. That's Alice up in the corner. Alice lent me a tent one time when I went to a festival and lent me her shoes. She was very, very kind. This lady down the bottom here housed me during my time at the puppetry festival. She also was extremely kind and just like opened her home to me for free. It was just amazing. People are so kind, and they made the whole thing possible. And the fact that I was able to get over my anxiety and actually ask for help was a pretty massive deal for me as well, to be honest. Sorry, I wanted to be real about that because it was quite challenging. But I sort of started looking for nature. This guy was also quite far from home, I think. I sort of went on a bit of a mission to get out of the studio. I started going to places that were green and just trying to immerse myself in as much greenery as possible. So the graveyard was a big one. And going to the menagerie and all these different things. That was really beneficial for my brain. So I just sort of just put some photos of that in. At a certain point, I got a little bit I need to do something to get me physically out, and I needed to make a choice to go somewhere that was really inspiring. I was really struggling. Paris is inspiring in its own way, but my community is sort of circus grungy people, if that makes sense. Paris is beautiful and refined, and it's elegant and contained, and it's very proud, and I think it deserves to feel that way. And I think I see that and I respect that, and I really also wanted to experience this other part of Europe that is circus. So I decided to pretty quickly made this choice to go to Rostoch Festival. So I wrote a little bit about Roztosh. Where is it? Here it is. It's an international festival based on circus and flow arts, theatre and all kinds of movement art forms. The mission of Roztosh is to integrate several art forms into one event and facilitate cross-inspiration between them. Roztosh started as a fire spinning event and it continues to be the heart of the festival, but the dramaturgy changed over the years and integrated many other circus-related movement arts, such as all forms of juggling, aerial acrobatics, partner and ground acrobatics, and even art forms such as mime and puppetry. So I went to lots of workshops at Roztosh because it is also a convention where there's a lot of skill sharing. It's not just performances, you get to learn lots of different kinds of things. So yeah, this is me flying there, this is me hitchhiking there with a group of people that I found along the way. My phone didn't work. It was in the Czech Republic, so I kind of had no technology and nobody spoke English, so it was a little bit wild. And then finding a bunch of people with big backpacks and you're like, I think we're going to the same place, so let's just all get on this truck together, I guess. And it worked out well. They respect the forest. So I appreciated that. Yeah, I just thought that was a bit funny. So Roztosh is on a Soviet missile base called Batronis. It's a post-apocalyptic live-action role-playing site as well. So people were, doing LARPing of acting out post-apocalyptic scenes, sort of like, there were different clans, they were at war. It was very fun. There was a lot of different like Mad Max-style cars driving around constantly. It was on, the site was pretty wild, to be honest. And like going from Paris to that, and I had no phone, honestly, I was like, okay, this is challenging, but this is a challenging I'm kind of used to. This is sort of a bit more Tasmanian, to be honest with you. This is like a doof. I'm feeling this. So I kind of leant into it. I felt really grounded here, and I found a really nice sense of community amongst the other circus artists and flow artists. Lots of different learning opportunities. Made a really good friend here called Katya, who, really supported me a lot in this. It was massive. Going to Roztosh, it reinvigorated my sense of adventure and gave me movement. So I was like when you get really stuck in one place, when you're really anxious, it's really like helpful to have a goal and be moving through and feel like you're like achieving things and you're learning, and it was really like reinvigorated that for me. I was really feeling inspired, and I was in nature, which is my like happy place. I was camping for I went for like 5 days, I believe. Experienced community and connection here. Yeah, lots of skill building and sharing, and I was disconnected from technology, which when I was feeling kind of stuck, I was really scrolling like a lot. So this was really helpful for me. And I was feeling really connected to myself and my passion. So it was really, really beneficial, this experience. And it was quite wild that it was so last minute. I hadn't really researched this festival before going, and I felt like that was part of the discovery, and just jumping, just going for it. Just go to the Czech Republic. It's going to be totally fine. And then you're going to come back. So anyway, these are some of the masterclasses that were there. I just wanted to pop these in so you can kind of see a bit of the variety. This is just one of the days. So I don't know, contact staff, one-hand poi, hips and hoops. Lots of dance, lots of different kinds of things. So these were some of my favourite performance artists that I saw there. The Shao was a mask dance and prop manipulation performance. These are all on YouTube, so I decided not to put any sort of video in here, but if you would like to see any of them, feel free to take a picture or whatever. But the seal wheel, this one here, really, really powerful, really beautiful. And the partner acrobatics were also, they did some things I'd never seen before, and it was really cool. So then I came back to Paris with the group of circus artists that live in Paris. This was really, really positive connection that I made here. It meant that I could continue having access to this kind of vibe whilst also being in the city. Making friends with Alice was very good. And then I was able to sort of start wandering around Paris a bit more, got out of my shell a bit more, found things that I thought were kind of inspiring and tickled me. Sort of different little shops and things around that were very cool. Always inspired by spirals. So lots of finding spirals. This was at Pompidou. I really wanted to make something like this, but felted. I was really feeling that. I was like, yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot. But like, imagine if faces were coming out of the, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think you know what I mean. Okay. And then I was going to a puppetry library quite a lot that I found. This was kind of a good sort of mission that I would go on. I had the climbing gym and I had the puppetry library that I would go to. So yeah, on the way you can see lots of different things. You see the life of the city, but you have a goal, and so you kind of like can continue and you don't get too overwhelmed. I don't know, that's just me anyway. But lots of images, lots of videos of like historic puppetry performances and things. It was pretty amazing to see. There was, so many books, and it was all just dedicated to puppetry. I was like, what? This is amazing. So good. I started just playing with little things to make some faces. I decided not to make too much physically whilst I was there because I didn't want to like weigh myself down with the expectation of making in the end. I think it's really important to have a proposal for a project. Like for the application, you have to have a proposal for the project, but like allowing it to be organic and evolve with what you're doing and how you're actually experiencing it in the moment is really important as well. So I did not end up actually learning about limb mechanics. However, I did experience a lot of new forms of puppetry and performance, and I think that's the main thing that was like coming out of this experience. So yeah, I was sort of battling with that for a while, being like, I said I was going to do this thing, I should do this thing, but I think it's always going to be impactful on your practice, experiencing such a different place and putting yourself in front of so many different art forms, ways of, creating, and meeting so many different people. Like, anyway, so these were my little things that I played with. The clay head, I just found, so in the studio, there's like this big cupboard that has like lots of different supplies that people previously who have done the residency have left little bits and pieces. And there was a clay block that had gone very hard. And so I just chiseled away at it and just scratched away at it until I found the head within. And this is just a piece of felt that I found as well. And then I was building up to going to the World Festival of Puppet Theatres. So it's the biggest puppetry festival in the world since 1961. I think I wrote a little bit of. So yeah, it sets the standard internationally and is an unmissable event in the world of the puppet arts. It takes place every 2 years in Charleville-Mézières, and around 250 troops from 5 continents meet to present their creations to over, that's a big number, sorry, 150,000 spectators from all over the world. So the Puppetry Festival goes for 10 days. And it presents techniques from a range of traditional gloved string puppets, more contemporary innovations such as marionette, controlled at the rod at the back kind of puppets, basically. And shadow theatre, lots of wearable, massive puppets as well. Anyway, so I'll show you. I was wandering around the town and I came across the Puppetry Institute. So I did a tour with them. It was all in French, unfortunately for me, but I did still get to see the facilities and see what, their different techniques. They did demonstrations on how they would teach different sort of techniques, and that was very, very interesting. So yeah, lots of different forms that you can learn from. And then wandering around the town, all the windows to the shops were full of characters, and it was an activated space, definitely. There was lots of different things. This was one window that had all of these different things and different characters. I thought the felted ones were pretty fun, so I just wanted to take photos. So yeah, lots of street performances. This man on the end was a character that was roving around with a very big puppet. Unfortunately, I forgot to take a photo with his massive puppet, but he was part of a troupe. They had like lots of instruments and were clanging around, chasing this really big puppet and like, anyway. Yeah, lots of different forms. These two were some of my favourites. Again, I couldn't put the video, but they had their puppets playing the music, and this lady had made both of these puppets, and yeah, they were very amazing. This troupe here, so they were a troupe of about 8. They were roving characters that interacted with the audience, and they had their own set, as you can see. So you can see where this fence is. People would come up to that fence and they would sometimes interact, but it was kind of like this was their world beyond there, and they would interact with it, and it would very much like reinforce the characters that they had. I really, really enjoyed these two in particular. Their relationship with each other was very caring. They were like sisters, and the way that they interacted with the crowd was really beautiful as well. The children loved these actors. And yeah, this was the most impactful thing that I saw while I was away, to be honest. At one point, because I came back like for days, I just kept coming back, and every time they were activating the space, I would come back and watch again. And I kept noticing them, like they would see me and sort of acknowledge me, and then but there were often like lots of little children around, and I didn't like, it was for the children for the most part, like, so I was like, always a bit back. But at one point after like 4 days, the one on the left kept like just put her hand out for me, and I just sort of waded through the children and then held her hand, and then the other one came up and held my hand as well, and then we all just sort of like held hands for a moment, and it was just very deep eye contact, and it's this very like comforting feeling. It's not confronting at all. Like, some people might be really confronted by these characters. I could understand that in a way, because they can be a bit unnerving, but for me they were really, really like calming and just really grounding. And then when the first one was holding my hand, and then the second one wrapped our hands in this string and it was like their concept behind their act, if you call it an act, I guess, is strings of fate and like connection. So yeah, it was a really lovely experience, very impactful for my practice. This was another one of the sets when it wasn't being activated. I just wanted to take some photos of the details. There was a lot of layering and monochromatic decoration. I really like this kind of thing. This is, I really enjoy this. These are some of the other characters that were of the same troupe. The troupe was called, it translates to the Unreals, and I have some of their pamphlets and stuff if anyone's interested at the end and wanting to see more information on them. I have pamphlets from all the festivals with me, so I'll come down with them if you're interested. But yeah, if you want to see some of the writing material with it, I found these ones a little bit more unnerving. I think I preferred, I felt more drawn to the other two personally, and that's why I kept going back to them. These ones, I didn't really have any interactions with them. I definitely felt like my heart was beating quite fast when I went past them, though. I was getting a response from seeing them, though. So the children loved them. This child here in the middle stared into this character's eyes for like 30 seconds. I was watching it. She was just staring, and then they hugged, and I was like, oh. So full on. This guy, woo. yeah. I really it has a big impact on me. I just feel something really quite viscerally from these characters with the masks. I really enjoy them. So then I made my own. I started developing my own character sort of in response to that experience. I haven't really found a name for her yet, but it's the concept behind it is selfless giving. So the idea is that I was kind of becoming a rose and giving myself to people through connection, and that moment where I'm like giving eye contact and giving myself in that moment. So like generally in real life when I'm not wearing a mask, I find eye contact quite challenging. I think quite a lot of people do. It can be quite intense. But when I'm wearing a mask like that and doing that character, I can be really invested in a moment of eye contact and connection with a member of the audience. And there's something really powerful with that. It's like you're right behind your eyes, really present. And yeah, I found that was really one of the main things that came out of this residency is the creation of this character. So I did a showing of my work in progress at the Cité with this character at the end of the residency. If you do go to do a residency at the Cité, I would suggest if you're wanting to do a open studio, so that's what showing work in progress is, that each week they do an open studio and you can go and see people's works in progress displayed in their studios. You do have to sort of book in a way, because like you have to tell them that you're going to do that because they make a map. And my suggestion would be, if you go and you're interested in doing an open studio, just make sure you tell them early, because I didn't tell them in time. Unfortunately, they did say I was allowed to I could do it in the courtyard kind of thing, but they couldn't advertise it because it was like not within the amount of time that they had to create the map. So that's probably not very helpful information, but I just thought I'd tell you. Anyway, yeah, so after that I did with the circus community in Paris, I spent a bit more time with them doing fire twirling, and went to a couple of different conventions which were very sweet. And I was able to see the circus company, the Seven Fingers, which was very amazing. They're very well known circus company, and yeah, to have the opportunity to see them was pretty fantastic. So that came to the end of my time at the Cité, and so I was just looking at sort of how it's impacted me since. So yeah, like Meg said, I'm in Rook's Emerging Artist Program now. I applied when I came back because I really recognised that circus was a big part of my creative practice, and I really need to make sure I really want to own that space. And because of the fact that the circus community, I feel, is less driven by titles in a way, well, not less driven by titles, but I don't need to classify myself so much. You can be a multidisciplinary artist, performance, visual artist, immersive installation, like it's all part of the same thing. You're an entertainer. It's good. I feel like I continued to develop both my onstage and roving acts with their mentorship, and so I'm still doing that. I'm making a onstage hoop act that's got quite a gremlin kind of energy. It's kind of like a hunter gremlin. And the red roving character is going through a bit of a transition as well, in that I'm physically giving items to the public when I'm doing that character. So I found that's really good. I also created a new series of sculptures called Clown Alley, which is very much inspired by my time away, experiencing all the circus input. And yeah, the crone, I made a big sculptural piece before I left called The Crone, and it's being exhibited at the Women's Art Prize, but yeah, that's not necessarily made since getting back. So it's mostly Clown Alley and the acts that I've been working on. So this is the continuation of the red look at this point, of the red roving act, sorry. So I performed it at the Midwinter Fest, the last one, and it went over quite well. The children really enjoyed it, and I was handing out roses and small objects, and also painting love hearts on people's hands, and having a lot of eye contact and interaction And yeah, it felt really positive. It felt like the character is really like growing, and I'm going to be doing another performance with it on the 24th and 25th of this month at the Underground Tapestries, which is an event coming up. And well, yeah, it's going to evolve a bit more to be an onstage performance as well. I also have started, developing that hoop act that I was talking about. So recently I performed in Launceston. A friend of mine put on a cabaret, and I just gave it a bit of a play. It's still very much under development. It's got some choreography to be done. It's a bit improv at this point, but basically it's feeling good to perform and add that to my practice. And yeah, these are the clowns that I was talking about. So this is probably my favourite one, to be honest. It's got the curlies. It's very alive behind the eyes. I enjoy it. This one's quite fun too. They don't really have individual names, so if you have any suggestions, let me know. And this guy, quite kind eyes, I think. So that is kind of the conclusion of the pictures that I have. And yeah, the end of the presentation, basically. If anyone has any questions, I am very open to answering them. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Oh, you've got a microphone.
We have a microphone. I saw Clown Alley up at Good Grief, and in the dark space that they were in, they had a presence to them. I was very intrigued by the quality of the felt and how close, forgive the pun, how close that felt to skin, to some sort of very human quality. I wonder, is there anything in that, or is that just me?
Oh, no, I mean, the stabbing creates pores, I think. So when you're needle felting, you're continuously poking at the raw fibres to make them all tangle up, and they get more and more dense, and then you can create forms. When you do puncture it, it does create a pore-like hole. So, and I think that I definitely see that quality too. That's why I make the faces out of them, because I see that as well. Thanks for coming to it.
Great. So we have time for some questions. If anybody would like to ask any questions, I've got the mic here. I've also got my the chat window opened on Zoom, if anybody would like to put a question in there.
Hi, Neil, it's Denise. We've got a question from the north.
Don't you love Zoom? That voice just appeared from the rafters. Fantastic. Go, Denise.
Hey, guys, that's really exciting, Fran, thanks. And I was just wondering about the eyes of the clowns. Like, what did you use to make the eyes, and are they painted or not?
Oh, yes. So they are marbles that I found at the tip. So different kinds of marbles, but yeah, these ones, so they're just, they're sort of glued in place and needle felted around them, and I really liked the contrast with the shiny to the matte finish of the felt. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Great, thank you.
No worries.
A question over here.
Sorry, I think I might have missed it. The great presentation, but it was 6 months that you got to go for?
I went for 3 months. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I did say that actually, yeah. So I originally, it was for 2 months, and then the artist that was going to go just after me had to cancel for some reason, so I was able to continue on, but because of visas, I kept it at 3 months. I was going to go after the residency, I was going to travel elsewhere, so I'd already booked my flights to be for 3 months, so it worked out, but yeah.
And how did you go with all the money and the saving and the spending over there?
I mean, the scholarship was amazing to have. That was made it possible, really, for me. I worked 2 jobs and worked 7 days a week for a couple of months, and was able to save like $5,000. And that was like, so yeah, $15,000 covered it all really well. I mean, I did do a lot of like flying to the Czech Republic, and because of the fact I couldn't, at that point, I hadn't used the metro, so it was quite stupid, but I got a taxi to the airport, which was like $300 or something crazy. So like, I just knew that I was just going to get stuck somewhere if I didn't do that. So I just sort of made the choice at the time because I hadn't gone outside and used the metro yet. Yeah, I think just as an aside, it's not really related, but if I was to do it again, I think what I would do is maybe look on their website. I didn't realise early on, but on the Cité website, they have all the residents, all the different artists that are in residence at the time on the website, and you can see, I could have potentially found other artists that were from Australia and maybe linked up with them or like emailed them and maybe found a bit of, it might have been helpful to maybe they could have shown me the metro, this kind of thing. Just a suggestion if it could have potentially helped. But I think that's on me for not having realised that was a thing. Anyway, just passing on that info.
Thanks, Fran.
There's a question in the chat, which I'll read out, from Janine Coombs. I'm wondering if some of the international connections made on the residency have continued for you, Fran.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Particularly Marline, that friend I was talking about, we do message all the time. We tend to message in photographs, like what's in front of you right now kind of thing. Yeah. Made a very deep connection with Marlene. The others, I feel like if I was to see them, it's like when you've got friends that are festival friends, I feel like we would like pick up really easily. And if I was to message and be like, I'm in the area, like, what are you up to kind of thing, I feel like they would be really down. They were really open to making connections, like especially the travellers. Like, it's really lovely to, yeah. I think the yes is the answer.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for your beautiful presentation. I have a question about, I guess, the expectations from the, the residency itself, like coming back, apart from this moment. And because you kind of shifted a little bit while you were there, was that an issue, or what sort of documentation or things that you need to do afterwards?
It hasn't really been an issue. Are you sort of meaning expectations from the people that chose me to go? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess you put in a specific proposal.
I did,
if things shifted while you were over there, what that meant when you returned.
Yeah, I was quite worried about that to start with, and felt quite a bit of pressure, but I haven't experienced any sort of anything negative. I think that it's like when you're doing honours or doing a project, I think that it's sort of standard for things to evolve. I think that the hope is that it will positively impact your practice, and you don't necessarily have to have, I didn't experience that you have to follow the proposal exactly. A lot of people that I spoke to who had previously done the residencies, there's a lot of books that are in the studio that are sort of diaries in a way of previous residences, and they all sort of talk about the fact that your practice evolves, and let it evolve, because you don't know what you're going to experience when you're there, and let it be inspirational, let it lead you in a way. So you have an idea, the seed of an idea, but it can go in any direction really. So I think that's what it felt like to me anyway. It felt like it was allowed to be organic after I let go of the expectations. I think that is normal.
Thank you for such a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
So obviously you've done this as part of your postgraduate, but leading up to that, had you done or had received or applied for any other kind of scholarships or overseas travel through university, or was this the sort of first time experiencing that kind of thing?
When I was doing my undergrad up north, I applied for one scholarship, and I got that at the time. Sorry, I can't remember the name of it very well, but it was for specifically rural women who are from rural places. So I'm from Deloraine, and so people who had moved to be able to study at UTAS, but they were from a rural town in Tasmania. So I got that one, and that was really helpful at the time as well. But I hadn't applied for any other scholarships or overseas travel before this. So yeah, it was. It felt like one of those like, well, you got to be in it to win it kind of things. And I was like, wow. It was very exciting. I hadn't. I didn't really expect it, but I felt very, very happy to get it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for asking.
Okay. It looks like that's it. Please join me in thanking Fran Reeve.
Thanks, guys.
I encourage you to keep an eye out for the scholarships. They're happening every year around about this time. The application process for the Cité for the following year is just closed. It's available to anyone that's graduated from the school or the university. So as soon as you finish your undergraduate degree, you're eligible to apply. We get applications from people straight out of honours, all the way to people that have been practising and are very established. So the only criteria in terms of eligibility is that you are a graduate from the university. And there are multiple different ways in which an application can, take place. Just to add into what Fran said about the expectations, the only expectation that the selection committee has is that there is a report, which is this part of the report that other people get to see what happened, and that the recipient just shares some of the information. So the only other thing that we'll ask is that Fran joins next year's information session and basically tells about her experience and ways in which people can actually develop their project. So the idea is that you start with a premise, you research it, and that you find your place when you actually get there. As the chair of the committee, I actually think that you did fulfill your proposal.
Oh, good. That's good.
And that you did the things that you said that you would. You went to the festival, you engaged in that culture, and you came back and you made quite extensive work. And I can see the trajectory of the work and how incredibly refined and how it's advanced in a very, very short period. So congratulations.
So we won't ask for the money back.
I'm very poor. Thank you. That's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks very much, everyone, and thank you again, Fran.
Thank you. If anyone's wanting to look at any of the pamphlets or anything from the festivals, I'll just be around here with them, but no pressure.